actually have a lot to offer.
People care about me, and they want me around.
I am a good friend.
I'm not alone.
God chooses me daily.
Compassionate and caring.
I'm a child of God.
Have you ever heard of the movie Jaws? Even though it came out before I was born, I saw it when I was a kid. Now, this is obviously a terrifying movie about a shark, but it's definitely frightening when you're a kid. I don't know exactly when it was I saw it because I was young, but I know that I was traumatized. But the shark in the movie was doing all kinds of things that a shark would never do in real life. But I didn't know that when I was a kid. I didn't know that sharks only existed in the ocean. There was a lake in my town, and where my mom took me to swim out in Riverside when I was younger. And I was terrified. I thought that the shark was gonna come and eat me up as a snack. Now, we all know what it's like to be afraid of something, right? But have you ever wondered if there was a way to get over your fears, to remove fear from your life forever? Can any of us become so consistently brave that we never experience fear again? Can we actually become fearless? Unfortunately, I'm not so sure fear is something that we can ever get rid of 100%. Sure, your fears are probably not the same now as they were when you were a kid. You may not be as scared of clowns or bugs as you were when you were younger, but it doesn't mean that that fear is gone altogether. For most of us, those old fears that are now funny to us get replaced with bigger fears as we grow up. Now that you're in high school, your fears become different, like worrying about passing a specific class, or getting caught by your parent for doing something you shouldn't, or maybe hoping you make the team at school. So many people pretend to be fearless. They try to walk through life like fear isn't a real thing. And if it is real, they act like it's not that big of a deal. While we might be really good at pretending that we're fearless, the reality is none of us can actually escape fear. And the more we try, the harder it gets to escape it. You can ignore it for a while and downplay it as nothing, and even attempt to push through it. But eventually fear shows back up, and just like that, it's all you think about, all you hear, and all you feel. Fear has a way of changing the playlist in our minds, right? When we let fear take over our thoughts, it leads us down a path of endless questions of what if? What if I don't make friends? What if my parents get a divorce? What if I fail this test? What if I don't get better? What if the world doesn't get any better? This one is tricky because sometimes fear can be helpful. Sometimes those what if questions help us avoid or be cautious around things that could hurt us. It's not a bad thing at all. The problem comes when we let fear take over, when it becomes the boss of our actions, our thoughts, our lives, when it holds us back from trying new things or discovering good things in life. That's when we need to figure out how to turn down the volume on fear that's replaying in our head. That's when we need a new playlist. One of the best things about the Bible is it gives us examples of real people who had real experiences, real feelings, just like us. Some of Jesus' closest followers actually had an encounter with him that taught them about how to deal with fear. You'd think that since these guys were close friends with Jesus, that they'd have nothing to fear, right? I mean, their homie was God. One night, they were all traveling in a boat with Jesus when a huge storm rolled in. In the middle of the storm, on a tiny boat, these guys did exactly what I think I would have done. They looked to Jesus. The guy they knew could literally do anything would definitely help calm their fears, right? Well, here's what happened. Suddenly, a furious storm came up on the lake so that the waves swept over the boat. But Jesus was sleeping. The disciples went and woke him saying, "Lord, save us, we're gonna drown." They were in the middle of the water, riding out a major storm, and the one person who could stop it was catching a nap. When they finally got Jesus up and awake, they probably thought he was going to save them. But first, he had something to say. Take a look. Jesus replied, "You of little faith, why are you so afraid?" Then he got up, rebuked the winds and the waves, and it completely calmed down. The men were amazed and asked, "What kind of man is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him." Now, while I can't be sure because I obviously wasn't there, I don't think Jesus said the disciples had little faith because he was mad. I think he was trying to show them that even when they're afraid, their faith in the one who is bigger than them and bigger than anything is able to help them face their fears. Jesus calmed the storm in his followers. He calmed their fears, not just by stopping the wind and the waves, but by showing them this, that fear is loud, but fear is a liar. Jesus is bigger than what we're afraid of. How does it make us feel to know that Jesus is bigger than our fears? Jesus wants us to know that their fear and our fear doesn't have to be the only thing that we feel. His voice and his presence can play louder. Fear is loud, but fear is a liar. But in the same way Jesus was with them, he is with us. I'm not saying that following Jesus means you'll never have fear again. But what I am saying is that it can help you walk through fear. But when fear takes over your thoughts, like an annoying song stuck on repeat, you can dial it down. You can focus on the truth that we find in Scripture that reminds us of the God who is with us, for us, in the face of every fear. Take this psalm, for example. Even while I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid, for you are close beside me. Your rod and staff protect and comfort me. When we walk through dark times, we don't have to be afraid because God is with us. My challenge to you this week is to memorize that verse. Let it be a place that you start when it comes to facing fear. Fear is loud, but it is a liar. Maybe the volume on your fear is really loud and you need someone to encourage you to trust Jesus in the middle of it. You need to find a trusted adult. You need to have your friends around you or a parent, someone you trust. They're here to remind you that even if your circumstances don't change, you can walk through them with confidence and faith in Jesus because he is in control of it all.
I actually have a lot to offer.
People care about me, and they want me around.
I am a good friend.
I'm not alone.
God chooses me daily.
Compassionate and caring.
I'm a child of God.